each part of our iris coincides with an organ, and you can see the tissues of each organ, and you can see if they're healthy, if they're not healthy, and it's super fascinating to see. But you can see anything from inflammation to cancer, basically.
By looking at the eye.
By looking at the eye. So
Drop in
Unwind
and recalibrate
as we shift your mentality and your reality.
Let's elevate alongside one another as we keep the vibes high
And we keep the consciousness ever evolving in this collective of high vibrational frequencies.
Welcome to the High Vibe Collective podcast. We're your hosts,
Aaron
and Stephanie.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for joining us with the High Vibe Collective podcast. Today we have Daria Kalinina joining us. Thank you so much for being here, Daria.
thank you.
Daria is an Ayurvedic practitioner as well as Iridologist and several other holistic practices. So I am really excited for everyone joining us today because Daria has quite a potent story that really led you through this chain of events of your learning and your practices. And that started with you looking for help with you first. Yes?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'd love if we could just dive right in and just share, because you first started with Ayurvedic medicine learning. Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm gonna backtrack just a little bit.
Yeah.
I was born and raised in Ukraine, in Kiev, and my grandmother was a medicine woman. She didn't know how to read or write,
Cool.
but she knew every single plant growing anywhere, and she knew how to heal everyone. She knew what dreams meant. She was just a magical human being.
What's grandma's name?
Zinaida Grigorievna. Try saying that fast.
I'll just say grandma.
Grandma. Zina.
Zina.
Grandma Zina.
I love that.
Yeah. So I kind of grew up with this base of, you're sick, grandma goes get something, honey, ginger, any plants growing outside. So that was kind of already instilled in me. And I think in my genetics, in my DNA, my kind of go-to, fast forward 93, we moved to America. Very different. Very, very different here.
It's different here.
Yeah.
My grandma was not getting the plants to make me better. I'll just say that. But I do love my grandma.
Yeah. Hi, Grandma. She's watching.
She's watching.
She's watching.
Yeah.
So is Zena. They're
Yeah.
both up there.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, my mother obviously was also very much into like the holistic, right? The natural, indigenous ways of healing. But when you move to America, you kind of want to be American.
Right. I can imagine.
Yeah, and you want to do all the American
Get
things.
rid of your ways,
Yeah.
become American. Okay.
Yeah, so it turned out to very much like when I got sick, they would take me to a doctor, a Western medicine doctor. So I figured out not to tell anyone I was sick.
Oh.
So I didn't like it, you know, the medications and all that stuff. So I figured out, like, don't tell anyone you're not feeling well because they're going to take you to the doctor. So fast forward till I'm 28, had my Saturn return. I think most people watching would know what that is, but
Look it up if you don't.
look it up if you don't. Pretty intense times. My whole life just dissolved. My job, my relationships, everything. And I found myself 30 pounds heavier with an entire face covered in cystic acne,
Wow.
bleeding for 20, 30 days at a time, in excruciating pain, not sleeping, constipation. I wouldn't go to the restroom. I wouldn't have bowel movements for weeks at a time. It was just unreal. And I went to the doctors.
Sure.
Yeah, I went to the doctors because at that point I had been in America for 20 something years. And
Mm-hmm.
I went to the
Grandma's not around.
Grandma's not around. And I was scared, you know, because it happened in a month. It wasn't like this long thing. It literally, in a month, probably in 3 weeks, I just woke up in this body that wasn't mine. And I didn't know what to do because I wasn't taught, right? At least not here. Grandma didn't move with us. So spent a year and a half in doctors. They told me everything from like depression to cancer. And I was like, I don't have any of those things. The doctors kept saying like, you're just depressed, have an antidepressant, have an antidepressant. I'm like, I'm not depressed. I'm going through a rough time, but I'm not depressed. And after a year and a half, what really did it was, it's kind of a really sad story, but I went.
We're gonna go there.
Yeah, we're gonna go there. I went to an internal doctor. I think he was just solely for, I think he was like a colon doctor. And he didn't have a woman in the room. And he told me to take off my pants. And I was like, well, that's kind of weird. And he just stuck his fingers up my bum without saying anything. I screamed so loud, ran out of that office.
Right.
Screamed at everyone there, and that was my like point of like, what's happening here? This is not the way you treat human beings. So that guy's lucky I didn't sue him, which I could, because that's
real.
Can't do that to people. You also can't tell people they might have cancer without. One of the doctors was like, oh, well, you might have breast cancer. I was like, yeah, without giving me a mammogram, you actually can't say that to people.
Right.
So that fingers up the butthole was kind of that was the last straw. I was like, that's it. This is my body and I need to figure it out. I need to know how it works, what I need to do, and how to heal myself the way my grandmother would have healed me if we were back home. So I bought every book, started reading all the books. That didn't feel like enough, so I took some like online courses. That was great, but didn't feel enough. Then I found Dr. Nina in New York City, who's just the sweetest lady. Dr. Nina Marbelli. She has an Ayurvedic school in New York City. And I enrolled. I said, you know, like, this is my body. And I need to know how to take care of it properly and how to heal it and what to do. Immediately changed my diet, dinacharya, that's like the daily routine, changed that up, started taking some Ayurvedic herbs, and within a week, just started feeling differently.
I have goosebumps all over.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's empowering. I mean, we're living in a society in today's day and age where most people don't know what it feels like to be able to take control over their whole body.
No, I have goosebumps.
I know.
Yeah.
And let's not wait till there has to be fingers up the butt to do it.
And problems, because all of the things that I'll tell you in a little bit what it was, but all the things could have been prevented. I didn't even need to go through that.
It was a slow build.
It was a slow build, but I didn't know.
Of course.
And then when I had that intense, emotional kind of low, that's when your immune system drops.
Yeah.
That's when your autonomic nervous wreath is at critical condition. So when you've got all these underlying things and you come into a point of stress, boom, that's when it's yeah,
Depression.
that's when it's depression.
Well, but the emotional aspect of it from what I'm hearing from you,
Yeah, that's
escalated everything.
Well, that's what kind of was like the volcano that erupted. I had all these underlying things, but then the emotional kind of down just knocked my immune system out completely, and my body just wasn't strong enough.
So you changed a few things, really? A few things.
Then
in a week felt
a few things.
different.
Going to sleep earlier, waking up earlier, scraping my tongue, drinking hot water with lemon in the morning, cutting out sugar. Sugar was a big one for me. I was a huge sugar addict. I think I still might be a little bit. It's so funny. I'll tell you a cute little story about Dr. Nina. We were in class and people, so there are correlations to what you're craving. And either it's a mineral or vitamin that's deficient in your body, but a lot of the time it's an emotional thing. So everyone's like, oh, why do I crave spicy? Why do I crave this? I crave chips. And I raised my hand. I said, Dr. Nina, why do I crave sweets at night? And she goes, are you single? And I was like, yeah. She goes, you need a boyfriend. Yeah, because sugar is the emotion of like love and care and like sweetness, right? You want someone to be sweet next to you. So that was.
You need a boyfriend.
Daria, you need a boyfriend. She has a cute little accent. So, yeah, I went through Ayurvedic school. That was amazing. I ended up spending a month in India, learning Ayurvedic cooking, which is huge. I think that for me personally, made the huge impact on my system. Cooking with the spices, cooking with ghee, nourishing foods with all 6 tastes, with the colors. So it becomes an experience. You sit down, you have all of the tastes, all of the colors, and you feel nourished, you feel satiated, and your body is nourished. Cumin, coriander, fennel, all the things that we don't really use here in the West besides salt and pepper, right?
Well, even ghee, you say that, and I feel like a lot of people feel like that's almost like the upgraded shopping list. Right?
You can make your own. Super simple.
Right. Tell us about it.
Yeah. Take a piece of butter, organic preferably, and you put it on low in a pot. And what's going to happen is it's going to separate. And then you just separate it out and you've got tea. It's super simple.
What's the ghee and what's the remnant?
So the bottom would be ghee and the top you can use for other things. Usually I just toss it.
Ghee, homemade ghee.
Homemade ghee.
Yes.
Super simple and super nourishing. Yeah. So I finished that and I was in India. In India, I ended up on a whim signing up for yoga teachers training with Raghunath. What's up, Raghu? At Super Soul, upstate New York. That was an incredible experience. And starting seeing Ayurvedic patients, clients, and notice that to learn the pulse the way I wanted to know it takes years. So here, besides Dr. Lad, who has a 2-year program, we don't really have an Ayurvedic school because Ayurveda school in India is 6 years.
Okay.
And then there's 2 years of residency. It's like you become a doctor.
Yeah.
So the most comprehensive school here is with Dr. Lad in New Mexico. He has a 2-year program. But the pulse is this beautiful, amazing thing that you need years to study. And I'm still studying, and I did, study with Dr. Laud in New Mexico. But at that point, I kind of just wanted something a little bit quicker and a little bit more concrete, and something that we're not allowed to use the word diagnose because we're not MDs. So if you're not an MD, you can't use the word diagnose. But assess? I don't know. Sure. So I just went on the internet and found Iridology, and I had heard about Iridology here and there through people, and I went to Judy and Harvey Vetter in New York City just to have a reading to see how it was, and Judy blew me away. I mean, I had like inflammation in my right knee. At that point, I already knew what was going on, and I had some inflammation in my right knee, and I was like, all right, she'll probably be able to tell the big things, but let's see if my knee hurts. And when she said, wow, your right knee must hurt, I was like, I literally went like this. Do you teach this?
And so for those of us listening who don't know what iridology is, can you explain this?
Yes. So iridology, just like marma points in our body, acupuncture points in our body, we have those same ones in our eyes and our irises. So each part of our iris coincides with an organ, and you can see the tissues of each organ, and you can see if they're healthy, if they're not healthy, and it's super fascinating to see. But you can see anything from inflammation to cancer, basically.
By looking at the eye.
By looking at the eye. So there's special microscope that it's not just, I don't just look at someone like this. There's a special microscope and lights, and it's just mind-boggling that you could see all these things in the eyes. And once she said, do you have inflammation in your right knee? I was like, yeah, I need to study with you. So I took the course twice because it is intricate, and it does take, it's like a little bit of intuition, definitely very much knowing like the science of it. Watch, a lot of people, like if you Google iridology, they'll like discredit it and like, oh, it's like a woo-woo thing, except I've met 3 medical doctors with their MD that studied in different countries, not in the US, and they all went through an iridology class.
Oh, to become an MD.
Yes.
Right.
So it is a science. It's science-based. It's not like some woo-woo thing.
It feels very biologically based.
Yes.
I mean, yes.
Yes.
More so even than the pulse, perhaps, depending on your perspective. I don't know. But, maybe. Maybe. It makes sense to me. That's all.
The pulse can be interpreted, and there's different, the Chinese medicine take the pulse differently than the Ayurvedic people. So there's different ways of reading.
Of course.
The pulse, the eye is the eye. It's there. It's like tangible, seeable markings in the eye.
Totally. Well, most of us know this. So this is how we came into communication, right? Because Daria had been recommended to me by this local farmer in town who we just all love. And he was like, she'll just blow your mind. She can save a person thousands of dollars in medical testing just by looking at the eye with a microscope, and can tell you exactly what might be going on for you that a lot of these Western medicine testing can't show. Or again, that'd be thousands of dollars in testing, MRIs, all these things that really, if we can get down to it, that we don't want to be doing to our bodies if we can help it. I mean, no one even wants fingers up the butt unless you do, and that's okay too. So that's a different podcast. That's a different podcast. But you and I met because I was like, okay, I'm totally into all of this stuff. And I must say, I was like, well, I don't know what she's going to find, because I'm pretty good. And it's in my health and wellness journey, I feel pretty regulated. you know, I've been on this path for a while and I feel like I take care of myself. And also you blew my mind, you know, I'm like, whoa, wow. Okay. So this makes sense. It felt like it made a lot of things make sense. And then the protocol that you give afterwards, which is really essentially just these supplements and detoxes, you know, cleanses, I feel like a totally different person. And I think we're almost 3 months after.
Ooh, we gotta do our follow-up. That's the most exciting part, is when people actually go through the protocol and I see them 3 months later and I'm like, oh, you did it. Because some people do it for like a week or two and then their, you know, life gets busy. But it's really, you can see it in the eye. And I gotta get better at taking pictures, but you can see like the before and after, things shift. And people say like, oh, well, that's not possible. And I'm like, there's pictures proving it. Yeah. You were saying something and I was like, yes.
Yes, more.
Yes. What did you say?
I said a lot just now.
You said some good stuff.
Well, and you can see it all in the eye. So let's say you're someone who has like a spot in your eye. Like I think a lot of people find this like really innately endearing. Like even myself, I'm like, oh, I have green eyes. You know, I'm like one of the green-eyed girls. You know, and
I always hate to break it to people. Genetically, no such thing as green eyes. It's so funny. Like I actually, when Judy went into the point of there's genetically only brown and blue eyes, and I was like, oh my God, yes, because I remember in 8th grade, I used to really like. We took a class in like genetics, and I really enjoyed it. Being like, oh, if dad has brown eyes and mom has blue eyes, the alleles, like what's the kid gonna have, and dominant and recessive. And I was like, oh yeah, there's only brown and blue. The rest of the stuff is toxins. But I remembered what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
This is the very important thing that you were going towards, is Western medicine absolutely has a place, and I really respect it. I have dear friends who are doctors. If you're on a car accident, please go to the ER, like the emergency room. Those are the spaces where, like, if you broke a bone, if you're having a heart attack, well, if you're having a heart attack, cayenne pepper is really good. But if there's a serious medical emergency, like, there's beautiful space for Western medicine. But what I found that Iridology and Ayurveda has that Western medicine is lacking is our body is a whole and complete system. And it's not like my right knee was hurting by itself. My right knee was hurting because I had inflammation, because I had this. There's a string of symptoms that people have, and it's usually because of one thing that's going on with them leads to 4, 5, 6 symptoms. And what happens in Western medicine is we're treating the symptoms, but not the root cause. And that's what I love about Iridology and Ayurveda, is that they get to the root cause. So you can deal with the root cause. And once you deal with the root cause, the symptoms all subside.
Right. And this is why there was a slow build for you originally. And it's all these little root causes that keep just piling on one another, one after the other, one after the other, one after the other, until finally our systems just get to this place of overload. And then it's popping off left and right. Like for you, it was this cystic acne. And this is prevalent in our society. A lot of the youth that are growing up now are having this and just feeling like, oh, it's just pubescent times, or in your 20s all of a sudden, you know, a lot of college students rolling through having this. And so I love that you talked about that, getting to the root of it, because there's so much more we could say about all of that.
Yeah, it's the root cause. That's what it is. Once you get to the root cause, instead of treating a bunch of symptoms, that's the way. And in iridology, you can actually map out the eye and see, oh, they have H. pylori, so they're not digesting their food properly, so they're not getting the nutrients that they need. So, you know, once your food isn't digested in your stomach, the rest of the way down, it's struggling because it's not digested properly. So then, you know, the things build from there. So yes.
Yeah.
Root cause.
Root cause. And these things just build up in our system as innate humans, just living, walking the earth, right?
Oh, totally.
And like, okay, so one of the things that Daria had said to me, she was like, oh, well, you have parasites and heavy metals in your brain fan. And I was like, oh. And then one of the things you said regarding that, remind me if this is correct, but you said, oh, this could be causing like dizziness. And I had been experiencing that, even like lightheadedness, like standing, or like, you know, doing some squats and then standing quickly. And there's lots of different reasons why someone might say that they're having that experience. But when you said it, I was like, oh, wow, this is it, you know? And then you talked about like, well, you can perhaps share, like the brain fan carries what significance in our body? Yeah.
So when someone says like, oh, I'm feeling dizzy, what can I do for that? I was like, well, I have to look at your eye, because dizziness can be low blood pressure. Dizziness could be a clogged colon. Dizziness is a symptom of many different things. So what I saw in you was parasites that were hanging out in your colon. But the colon, and I'm pretty sure you can Google this, but there is, each sliver of our colon coincides with a body part. So let's say you have a polyp or a little fecal matter, what we call bowel pockets. If you have fecal matter hanging out there, or if you have parasites in certain different parts of your colon that coincide with, let's say, your ability, right, to find your balance, you're going to feel dizzy if there's parasites in that part of the colon, or if there's a bowel pocket in that part of the colon, because it's all connected.
Yeah.
It's all of it is connected. Yeah.
And scientifically, so I majored in biology. I love knowing how things work. So I'm just like, tell me all of it, you know? And it's fascinating to me. It's like, well, do I want heavy metals and parasites in any part of my body? Not really. I'm not going to be like, yes, please. Would you just put them right here? But what's fascinating that you shared is that they go to, or they gravitate towards the weakest parts of our body.
Yeah. So the body is just this, every day I am just blown away at how sophisticated and sentient, conscious our bodies are. And with all the Teslas and walking robots, nothing will ever compare to our body. And our body knows how to heal itself when given the proper environment. Our bodies know how to heal itself when given the proper environment. I can say that over and over again. It should be a mantra on everybody's. Your body will never attack itself. You know, how many times through that year and a half where they're like, oh, well, you have autoimmune. And I talked to some of my friends who are doctors, and I'm like, why do you guys say autoimmune? They're like, oh, well, because we don't know what else to call it. So we just call it autoimmune. And I'm like,
how many people are diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder who might even just be listening to this podcast?
Yeah. Your body is not going to attack itself. It's trying to do what it needs to do to survive. So going back to what you were saying is, you have a heavy metal. Your body is going to encapsulate it. Kind of like cysts, which is what I ended up having. I had major cystic ovaries. And your body's going to encapsulate whatever doesn't belong in there, and it's going to move it into usually your weakest organ, because that's
Like taking out the trash?
kind of, but leaving it in the garage.
Right.
Not making
And
it
just because we don't go in the garage very often.
Right.
Yeah.
yeah, taking out the trash, but not making it to the trash can.
Right.
Um,
Fascinating.
and that's the body's way of not allowing that toxin to circulate, but just keeping it kind of in one place that isn't working 100%. Because if that organ was the strongest, it would be pumping the most blood and circulating more. So it doesn't want it there.
Right.
It wants it somewhere where it's weak and not
Gonna fight it as much.
right. Yeah,
It's so fascinating.
the body's pretty cool.
Yeah, we're really cool beings.
Yeah.
And I love how you said our bodies can heal ourselves, and that it's never really going to be attacking itself. Especially though, thinking about it from a perspective of, if I have something in me that shouldn't be in here, it's like a sliver. I can like pull it out, or my body will push it out, but it's going to be more work for my body to push it out.
Yeah.
So, consciously pulling out the slivers.
Yeah. Yeah, detoxing that. And it's interesting that you say that the body pushes it out. I don't know if anybody's, I got a splinter once. I could not get it out for the life of me. And my body created a red circle around it. It got inflamed. And after a week or two, I was literally just able to lightly, gently press, and the thing popped out. Your body knows that splinter does not belong there.
Right.
Just as it knows all the other things don't serve it. It's gonna try to push it out.
And I know you mentioned a little bit earlier on where you came from, and I'd love to have you share how that plays into your story, because that it did, right? Like where, yeah.
Once I started learning Ayurveda and Iridology, I was like, yeah. And my body started reacting to it so quickly. Like it just started healing quickly, because we come from the earth. We're earth beings. We have all the elements in our body. And once you give the body what it needs, it just, miracles happen. I've seen people heal from things that medical doctors say, whatever they say, like put your stuff in order, like you're not gonna live, or what is that saying that they give you?
I believe it.
Yeah.
I don't know the saying, but
get your something
get
in
your
order.
affairs
Get
in
your
order.
affairs in order. That's what they say, get your affairs in order. And I've seen people heal from things like that. And that's not everybody's story, but herbs working symbiotically with our body, with our system, nutrients, we're so nutrient deficient. Ukraine, we were called like the breadbasket of the world. Our soil, not anymore unfortunately, but our soil, anywhere, even in the city, when you pick up the soil, it was rich and dark and like sparkly, and you could see the nutrients in there. So when we ate our food was nutrient dense. Our food had all the vitamins, had all the minerals that we needed. We used to eat off of silver spoons. There's like a saying, oh, she eats off a silver spoon. Yeah, our bodies need silver. We used to eat off of silverware. It's called silverware for a reason. Right? We're getting that silver. And once you make these little adjustments, the body just thrives. It just does, because that's its natural state, is with the herbs, with the land, with a symbiosis to Mother Nature. That's your mama.
It's fascinating because, again, I didn't realize how much I needed my own personal improvement, and it's made such a big difference for me. And so it's fascinating because I think that's most of us walking around, you know, we're like, oh, I'm pretty good. I don't really need any help. I don't help? What's that?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Get away from me.
Yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, we can all agree that there's ways we can improve ourselves. And if I can improve myself, then I can show up differently for other people in such a profound way, you know, especially anyone who's the head of a household, you know, especially if you have young children. I mean, these children are literally morphing to your physiology and your emotional status, mental, all of it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so true. And I think, especially women, I can't speak for the male bodies because I'm in a female body in this incarnation, but especially women, we take on so much and we're usually putting ourselves last. And we're like, we're okay. Like, it's all right. I'll sleep more tomorrow, or I'll eat better tomorrow. And it's kind of like you said, the head of the household. There's animals, there's children, there's jobs and businesses and all these things that we end up taking care of before ourselves. But what I would like people to shift into is, if I'm feeling at my best, I'm that much more productive. I'm that much better of a mother, a cook, a cat mom, a dog mom, a lover, like all the things. And it doesn't take a lot. It's not like this, you don't have to like restructure your whole entire life. It's just a few herbs and a few little tweaks here and there to your dinacharya, your daily routine. It's simple little things that we can all little by little adapt to that make a huge difference.
Huge difference. And I want to touch on, you said something, it feels really prevalent in the field lately, is this like dropping off. You know, we tend to be like, oh, I know this would be good for me, and so I'll show up for it for this amount of time, and then I drop off the spectrum. And I think that there's a lot that's playing in society's programming right now that is making that feeling really easy to be in, or really prevalent to just maintain. Because like you said, I'm like listening to you be like, it's easy, it's just a few things, but it's like, actually too, it's changing everything. You know, it's changing everything. Like you know, the choice to choose to feed yourself organic, right? Which generally means you're probably not going to choose to go to McDonald's any longer, but that's up to you, you know? So each and every one of us are going to pick and choose where it matters to us. And I think that it can be really easy steps to show up differently for yourself. And there is, and just acknowledging that there is this innate programming that says, no, it's easier for you to be in your comfort zone, even if it's what's killing you.
Yeah. Wow. That's super important. Thank you, Stephanie, for bringing that up. Coming from Ukraine, where we eat potatoes every day, I've never met a potato I didn't like. You can still have French fries, just not from McDonald's. You know, you can take your potatoes and fry them in ghee. Air fryers. Like, there's ways to eat things that isn't McDonald's. But you bring up a really awesome point. So we live in a fast-paced, instant gratification world. You want something, you just take out your phone, you Google it, and within seconds you have all the information. And I think back, you know, I'm not even that old, but I think back to like my childhood.
We didn't have that.
Cell phones didn't exist. They didn't.
We were climbing trees and playing with Legos.
Yeah. So like, if you wanted information, you had to go to an elder, which usually was like a grandparent or someone in the community. Or the library. Oh my gosh. So we're kind of in this instant gratification world where we just want everything instantaneously. And that's what Western medicine is. You have a headache, you take a Tylenol, within 10 minutes, it's gone. You want lower cholesterol, you take whatever that thing is called, whatever that pharmaceutical is called.
Well, let's not name it.
Yeah, let's not name it. It's your cholesterol's down. So herbs work differently. Herbs work with your body. So herbs, what they do is they help your body to do what it would naturally do if everything was balanced and in symbiosis. But because you have these imbalances, it's not working at 100%. So these herbs help.
Literally a supplement.
Correct.
Wow.
It is a supplement that helps your body do what it's supposed to do.
Fascinating concept.
Yeah. But here's the thing. They don't work immediately.
Sure.
So the rule is it's 3 months minimum. You have to take an herb 3 months minimum, and then 1 month for every year you've had the problem.
Whoa.
So people after 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or when the bottle runs out, it kind of just, falls to the wayside. And that's where that personal accountability and desire to really stick with it is important, because 2 weeks ain't gonna do something. Most of the time, even 3 months for things that are chronic. Sometimes you need to be taking an herb for 6 months, for 7 months.
Or like you share with the iridology, it's maybe this herb is going to work. And maybe in 3 months we realize it's actually not what's going to be best for your body, and we're going to try something different.
So true. Thank you for reminding me that. Everybody, so there's, for one problem, there's 5 herbs that could help you, that could support you in detoxifying or strengthening. And we all have our own unique dosha, our own unique build. And one herb may work brilliantly for someone, whereas another one doesn't work as well. And after 3 months, if we see that there isn't, if nothing's shifted in 3 months, sometimes we need to shift to a different herb.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I think too, what I feel like I'm picking up as the moral of this story is regardless of who you're going to seek the information from, whether it's Western medicine or your grandma or the library or Google, it's no one's going to have your health in mind more than you are going to. And so if you're going to let time or something else that's come up in your life come in the way from the shift that really needs to, happen in order for everything else to flow differently, then that's going to be the story of your life. And I believe how we do one thing is how we do everything. So my life hack in this is to really be able to zoom out, and it's wow, okay, if it's this one thing, if I keep leaving the dish in the sink, even though I say I don't want dishes in the sink, then where am I doing that in other areas where I can actually see it if that's a tense subject, because it's happening in other areas too. So we can gain our empowerment. It's so cool to hear your story, because you just literally took the reins.
Yeah.
You were F this.
Yeah.
I'm going to figure my life out. And then you went down the rabbit hole with it. And this is a lot of healers or holistic practitioners' journey.
And that's what I'm teaching other people, because I don't want you to count on me.
Yeah.
I want to empower you to know your body so that you don't have to come see me. It's a very ancient tradition. So I think it's in Japan. Don't quote me on this, but it's somewhere over there it might be China. Somewhere over there in the world. Your doctor, your physician only gets paid if you're healthy.
Oh,
He
what a
doesn't get
concept.
paid. Yeah. He doesn't get paid if you get sick. It is in his best interest, or hers, to keep you healthy. So my thing is, I don't want you to keep coming back to me. Yeah. I want to see you a few times, and I want to empower you to take your health back. I want to empower people to trust their body, to listen to their body, because I'm in my body and I can only listen to my body.
Yeah.
We all live in our own individual bodies, and we're all so unique and so different and so beautiful. So I'm mostly passionate about educating people on how to take care of their health holistically, with food, with water, with herbs, with breath work, with body movement. I want to empower people. I want to give the people back their power. And that's what Western medicine takes away. It's like, well, you have to come see me because I'm the one with the answers. No.
Well, there's this gentleman that I know in the community named Johnny Liberty, and he's written a few books on sovereignty. It's fascinating. You know, if you're into that stuff, it's fascinating. And he has this questionnaire that he'll ask people if you come to one of his talks, and it's like, it's a questionnaire, and like, how sovereign are you really? And it's just these, you know, little questions, and one of the questions on there just, oh my God, like makes my heart be filled with joy, and like, it's profound. He said, when you're not feeling well, do you go to a doctor or do you take a nap?
That's great.
It's great. I mean, come on. I understand that there are some people out there with some really real physical ailments that we've got to get addressed here.
For sure.
And also, when the first time that you weren't feeling well happened, did you listen to your body and give it what it needed? Because sometimes we just need a fucking break.
Sometimes,
you know?
My best friend Drew says everyone needs a nap and a hug.
Everyone needs a nap and a hug.
Everyone needs a nap and a hug.
Especially what's been happening the last few years, a lot of people haven't been hugging.
Yeah.
You know, we've been blessed and gifted to be here in Sedona, and I would be out on the rocks at a static dance, and some people would be coming in. I'm like, come on, come out here and dance. I'd be giving them a hug, and they'd be like, I haven't hugged anyone in 5 months. And I'm like, damn it.
Crazy.
You know, this is okay if that's what you were choosing. And also, like, it's doing something to our physiology. It's doing something to our health, our well-being. So, yeah, if you're not feeling well, are you going to the doctor or are you taking a nap? Because it might be like the first thing that could support you if you're not feeling well.
Sleep, rest.
Because this is something you mentioned early on in your journey. You said you switched a few things. You went to bed earlier. You got up earlier.
Circadian rhythm.
What's that?
Ooh. Yeah, I was living in Brooklyn at the time, above the BQE. And if any of you know, the BQE has been under construction for like over 20 years. My nervous system was just crazy because New York City is always lit up. It's always daytime.
There's no circadian rhythm.
There's no circadian rhythm. There's always noise. There's never any rest. So when you're going to sleep past 10 and you're in that pitta time, right? If you don't get to sleep before 10, you're not going to bed because that's when your body's like, woohoo, pitta time, let's do it.
Meanwhile, if you were sleeping,
your body would be healing itself. I asked, who was it? I think it was Dr. Lod. I was in one of his seminars and he's so cute. Have you ever listened to Dr. Lod? Oh my God. He's just love in a body. And someone raised their hand and said, well, my husband works as a train operator at night. What should he do? And Dr. Lod very, very sweetly and gently goes, he should quit his job because he's up all night and sleeps during the day.
Yeah. And so these are real points we're bringing up. And a lot of people maybe don't feel like they have that option. But I think more than anything, just understanding that we get to take whatever step feels like the necessary next step to gain empowerment over our own health and well-being. Because, you know, maybe that is quitting your job. My first tattoo says, my fearless freedom lights up the world. It's a Gabby Bernstein quote. And it's, you know, sometimes we have to make these decisions that feel like make or break to change the paradigm. And I think that that's part of it. So, you know, more power to anyone. And, you know, for anyone who has further questions, you can reach Daria through the High Vibe Collective, and also where else can they find you?
Yeah, so I have a website, with love, the letter N, light.com. You can book and schedule with me and get a little bit more info about Ayurveda and Iridology. And I have an Instagram account, but it's the same, with love and light.
Perfect.
I got to get more active on that.
Well, or not.
Or not.
Yeah. Yeah, but this has been really potent. I really appreciate you being here and our connection. Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's such a joy. And it's more than anything, it's empowering, because it's right here. It's the thing we should be choosing to engage with all the time, our eyes.
Yeah.
And in connection with one another. And if we're in a place where we're willing to see what that has in store for us, then it seems like we can learn more about ourselves.
And we all know it's somewhere, it's here. We all know. And it's really nice to be in the presence of people who allow that. Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's all we do around here.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for joining us. Please see us next time. And I'm sure we'll have Daria on again soon.
Yeah, that would be super. Thank you, Stephane.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.